I thought she loved me, and I endured 3 years of hardship by her side, only for her to embrace another man, and call me a stepping stone. The day I disappeared, and on that very same day, I was found by my billionaire parents. Ethan, why the sudden cancellation? Is something wrong? Eleanor's voice, on the other end of the phone, was laced with worry. I didn't want my mother, who had only found her biological son after nearly half a century, to worry about me anymore. I made up an excuse to dismiss her concerns, and then hung up the phone. The next second, Chloe pushed open the front door, reeking of alcohol. Her eyes were glazed over, and her silk blouse was wrinkled in several places. Upon seeing me sitting on the couch, her brow immediately furrowed. Where have you been carousing for the past 2 weeks? I couldn't even reach you on your phone. I thought you died somewhere. Her tone was accusatory. She spoke with such entitlement, as if she'd forgotten she was the one who left me on the road after the car accident, and then smashed my cell phone when I didn't respond. Chloe clearly grew impatient, irritated. She tore off the scarf around her neck, and walked towards the bedroom. A dense scattering of hickeys suddenly appeared in my sight. I couldn't tell if it was the alcohol clouding her judgment, or if she simply didn't care about my feelings at all. She made no attempt to conceal them. Even at this point, my heart still ached with a dull, cutting pain. During those 2 weeks recovering in the hospital, I was practically a living corpse. I had multiple fractures, and my thigh was impaled by rebar, threatening amputation. Yet, even then, I longed for her to visit me just once, even if only for a fleeting glimpse. I would have, as always, thoughtfully made excuses for her, and then, enduring the pain, continued to love her. But after getting a new cell phone, I saw this woman I had loved for 8 years openly kissing her male secretary, smiling shyly and captivatingly. The cheers of the crowd seemed to cast a filter of happiness around them. I suppressed the bitterness rising in my throat, and took off the plain band from my index finger, placing it on the table. Chloe saw this scene when she came out of the shower. Her face darkened. She quickly walked over and slapped me across the face with all her might. The force was so strong that half my face instantly swelled, throbbing numbly. Who told you to take it off? Have you forgotten what I told you? I met her angry gaze, my voice hoarse. How could I forget? Take off the ring. The vows are void. We're over. Chloe looked at me in disbelief. What right do you have to say it's over? If it weren't for me, you'd still be picking scraps off the street. My gaze fell on the hickeys on her neck. I spoke softly. Where were you while I was hospitalized? Were you busy, taking my place to reunite with my family, or were you messing around with Caleb in bed? Upon hearing my words, she realized. Assuming I was acting out of jealousy, she immediately relaxed, approaching with a slightly chiding tone. Caleb told me you only had minor injuries, you're almost 30, and is still lying just to create drama. Then, as if remembering something, her voice softened considerably. Caleb has suffered a lot since childhood. He needs that identity more than you do, and he promised me that once the family reunion is over, countless business collaborations will pour into the company. We're getting married soon. Why don't we give this opportunity to someone who needs it more? I pushed away her body as she gradually pressed closer. I don't know how much Caleb suffered, but over the years, in my search for my parents, I was driven out of the Willow orphanage, lived on the streets, and fought with stray dogs for food. I was almost abducted for a single meal. Chloe knew all of this, yet, for Caleb, she casually asked me to give up the family I had just found. Why should I give it up? Those are my parents. You know how many years I've been searching for them. Chloe fell silent for a moment, then suddenly let out a sneer. What if you don't want to? I've already taken the family locket that proves your identity. Even if you tell them, who would believe you? No sooner had she spoken than her cell phone rang. I glanced at it. The caller ID was a heart emoji. Chloe awkwardly hid her cell phone behind her back, and then dropped a remark. This is already decided. Don't do anything extra. Do I need to remind you of your own worth? I heard such belittling remarks almost every day. Her footsteps faded as she walked away. The moment she answered the phone, I heard a familiar male voice from the other end of the line. Sweetheart, I hope I didn't make you uncomfortable just now. It's your fault for being so proactive today. I couldn't control myself. Chloe's flustered and annoyed reply followed immediately. Stop chattering. I am at home. Bitterness churned within me. I looked down at the plain band on the table and murmured to myself, I had secretly acknowledged them a long time ago. I had originally planned to bring you to meet them as my fiancé, before appeared, close, and my life was quite happy and ordinary. She was often dizzy from company matters, and after she came home, I would draw a warm bath for her and then hand her a detox tea at the right time. When did cracks start to appear in our life? Probably on Caleb's first day at the company. I received a friend request on WhatsApp. After I accepted it, he didn't say a single word, but his social media posts frequently updated with his daily interactions with Chloe at the company. Boss worked hard overtime today. Let me give her a foot massage. I accidentally brushed her lips today. So sweet. You can tell she really likes my scent. She even ripped off my shirt buttons. Sweetheart is blushing. So cute. This clearly crossed the line for a boss-employee relationship. I could feel he was trying to provoke me, but I still chose to trust Chloe, until that day, when I brought restorative broth to the company, and he ostentatiously poured it out, replacing it with a glass of high-proof hard liquor. I watched from the corner as Chloe drank it without hesitation. At 3 in the morning, I received a picture from Caleb, showing them cheek to cheek. Shares so beautiful tonight. Are you still waiting for her to come home? That night, I didn't sleep a wink. Tears I hadn't shed even when I was isolated, and ganged up on at the Willow orphanage soaked my pillow that night. My thoughts returned to the present. Heavy rain was falling outside, and the damp air made the wound on my thigh ache faintly. I pushed myself up, and went into the guest room to pack my clothes. Chloe was a light sleeper, so to ensure she got good rest, I almost always stayed in the guest room, rarely disturbing her. Halfway through packing, a photo of us fell to the floor. It was our first photo together, when we were 18. I picked it up, and looked at it for a long time, then tore it in half and threw it into the trash can. Truth be told, I hadn't received much kindness throughout the years. That's why I had come to rely on Chloe as my emotional pillar. I had drifted from place to place since childhood, fending for myself on the streets for many years. While washing dishes in a restaurant kitchen, I happened upon Chloe, who was almost abducted. Her parents had fled the country with her younger brother to escape debts after a failed business investment, leaving her alone to face the creditors. I wanted to ignore her, but she was crying so piteously, I couldn't bring myself to abandon her. I grabbed a nearby shovel and rushed forward. My reckless demeanor terrified those debt-collecting thugs. When I came to my senses, my vision was obscured by warm blood. 18-year-old Chloe, dressed in a white dress, hugged me, trembling as she begged me not to die. Her beautiful tears stirred something soft within me that had long been dormant, making it unfurl. I used all the savings I had accumulated over the years to support her through college. I changed professions and went to work at construction sites, doing the hardest, most strenuous labor. I thought that if Chloe was in my life, it wouldn't matter if I never found my parents. Later, she graduated successfully and joined a financial company in less than 3 years. She became a renowned figure in the industry and established her own firm. I hid downstairs from her company, covered in dust, not daring to approach that ray of moonlight. Yet, under everyone's gaze, she rushed into my arms like a butterfly. I just never imagined that with the backing of power and money, the moon, once shining high, would also dim. I never doubted genuine feelings, but genuine feelings can change in an instant. Fortunately, it was only 8 years. I could afford to lose. I bought a ticket on my cell phone for a flight to Newport City the next day. After packing my things, I reached out to knock on Chloe's door, but I heard the mixed male and female voices of flirting from inside. The door was ajar, as if it hadn't been closed properly. Chloe's cell phone was on speakerphone, and her hands were applying body lotion to her legs. Every word of the conversation inside drifted clearly into my ears. Caleb's whiny, complaining voice rang out. Chloe, once the family reunion is over, can we finally be together? Ethan is completely beneath you. You've long since repaid what you owed him, and didn't you tell me you didn't love him anymore? Chloe paused, her hands still applying body lotion, and her voice turned cold. Caleb, I can give you anything you want, except for this. I don't love Ethan, but I still have a responsibility to him. After saying that, she softened her voice again, gently coaxing the man. I've given you everything. What else are you dissatisfied with? Being too greedy isn't a good thing. But, can you really bear to make me the other man? A hint of a smile appeared on Chloe's face, her voice lazy. How could you be the other man? The unloved one is the other man. I closed the door and turned to leave, I found my earlier thought of saying goodbye laughable. The next day at 8, Chloe's bedroom door was still tightly shut. Usually by this time, I would have already prepared breakfast, and hand-ground a cup of Americano. Before waking her up, I dragged my suitcase, taking one last look at the home we had shared for several years. The plain band I had taken off was still on the table, the front door closed, leaving the house in complete silence. While waiting at the airport, my cell phone rang. As soon as I answered, Chloe's accusatory voice came through. "Ethan, what kind of tantrum are you throwing? How could you leave the ring I gave you on the table? Don't forget, you relentlessly begged me for that ring in the first place." Of course I wouldn't forget. That night, after seeing the intimate photos Caleb sent, although I was heartbroken, I still didn't want to end our relationship just like that. Chloe was too important to me. She practically consumed my entire life. That weight was ingrained in my very being. I pleaded with her to give me a ring that would signify our status, and to go to the jewelry store with me. I wanted to use this method to bind her wandering heart. She grew impatient with my persistence but finally agreed. I was ecstatic and looked forward to it all day, until that evening, when Chloe came home and casually tossed a paper bag at me. "The store gave me a free ring when I was picking out a watch with Caleb today. Didn't you want one? Take it and put it on. Don't take this ring off from now on. Let's consider it our wedding ring. Thanks to Caleb today. Otherwise we'd have had to buy another one when we get married." A smile flickered at the corner of her lips. When she mentioned Caleb, I shivered, instinctively retorting, "I don't want a freebie. I want a ring we chose together." She suddenly burst into a furious rage, yelling, "That's enough. Isn't it all the same thing? I am tired enough from work. What else do you do besides cause me trouble every day?" I trembled as I slid the ring onto my ring finger, only to find it was the wrong size, loose and spinning. I raised my hand to show her, pretending to sound light-hearted. "See? It's the wrong size. Let's pick out another one." She rubbed her temples, annoyed. "Do you think I am as idle as you are? I have a mountain of work waiting for me at the company. I don't have time for these childish games." No matter what I said, she refused to agree to my request for a new ring. I had no choice but to give up, and wear the ring on my index finger instead. I tried to comfort myself that she was just too busy, but the unrest in my heart only grew, receiving no response from me. Chloe on the other end of the phone took a deep breath, and said gravely, "You come back right now, and put that ring on. Don't make me angry. I won't hold today's incident against you, and don't forget we have a wedding dress fitting this afternoon." I raised my hand, looking at the faint ring mark that hadn't completely faded, and said flatly, "Just throw it away." "What did you say?" I repeated myself, a self-deprecating laugh escaping my lips. "I am tired of wearing something that was a freebie nobody else wanted." Chloe scoffed, "Don't you dare regret it if I throw it away. You won't get it back even if you beg me later. Ethan, you should know better than anyone that you're not in a position to throw tantrums with me." With that, the phone was ruthlessly hung up. At the same time, the airport announcement played a boarding reminder. I turned off my cell phone, and pulled my luggage, walking towards the gate. What didn't know was this. What couldn't be retrieved wasn't the ring, but the girl in the white dress from my memories. As I exited the airport, I looked up and saw my parents looking around, searching for me. I walked over and gave them a big hug. They had originally wanted to send a private jet to pick me up, but I declined. I was used to hardship from before, and truly didn't want to be so extravagant. Eleanor lovingly stroked my cheek, her eyes instantly reddening. "Ethan, tell Mom quickly, have you been bullied? Why do you have red marks on your face?" Richard's eyes also showed a flicker of concern, and he gently patted my shoulder. "You've suffered these past years, whatever it is. Dad will take care of it for you." A wave of warmth flowed into my heart. I shook my head, tears instantly streaming down my face. "Mom, Dad, will you despise me for being useless?" My parents exchanged a glance, perplexed. "Why would you think he useless?" I lowered my head, feeling somewhat dejected. My voice choked. "I don't have a degree, and for so many years, I've only been able to do manual labor. I am nothing like your son." Hearing me say this, my parents breathed a sigh of relief, their tone gentle. "If you want to take over your father's business, he'll find a top consultant to teach you from the ground up. Besides, these are things taught in business school. Even if you haven't attended business school, you can hire people who have. There's no need to be upset over such trivial matters. My mother also nodded in agreement, saying, "We've been searching for you for so many years. It's fine if you don't want to learn. We just want you to be safe and happy in the future." Hearing them say that, I gained a bit more confidence. I said with determination, "No, I want to learn. I never had this opportunity before. From now on, I want to take control of things myself." My parents nodded with satisfaction, their eyes filled with relief. We chatted as we walked. The stretch limousine was filled with laughter and joyful chatter. The car pulled into an estate, and I was amazed by its lavishness the entire way. Richard had company matters to attend to, so he left quickly after only a short stay. Before he left, he instructed me. Ive had someone organize some of the company's asset information. "Come to the company when you're well rested," then grumbled as she pushed him out the door. "Ethan just got home, what's the rush?" I couldn't help but laugh out loud. It turns out, having family is truly this heartwarming, as if it could heal all the pain I had suffered before. After dinner, I lay on the bed, feeling a sense of peace I had never experienced before. It was only when I took out my cell phone that I realized I'd forgotten to turn it on after getting off the plane. As expected, there were no calls, no messages. Whenever got angry, she would typically resort to the silent treatment to resolve issues, waiting for me to give in, waiting for me to obediently apologize and seek reconciliation. I remember one time, I accidentally said something wrong, and she poured scalding coffee over my head before turning and leaving. I couldn't reach her for the entire next week. Ultimately, I found clues through Caleb's social media posts. Amidst the vibrant nightlife, she was no longer the stern, arrogant figure she was at the company during the day. Instead, she wore a red lace mini dress, dancing gracefully on the dance floor. After the dance, she jumped off the dance floor and threw herself into Caleb's arms, kissing him passionately, oblivious to their surroundings. I fled the club as if escaping, then crouched by the entrance, waiting for them to emerge. I kept telling myself she was just drunk and disoriented. I waited for 2 hours on the biting cold street until they finally appeared. The moment Chloe saw me, her eyes instantly cleared. "What are you doing here?" I wiped away tears that were about to spill from my eyes and mumbled, "I shouldn't have made you angry, can we go home?" She gave me a once-over, finally calming down. Only after hailing a cab for Caleb and watching him leave did she return with me. I'll never forget that day when she told me, "Ethan, you look like a stray dog right now." After opening WhatsApp, the first thing I saw was a prominent update on my social media feed. Chloe, in a wedding dress, leaned gently against Caleb's shoulder, her smile natural and sweet. I hadn't seen such an expression from her in a very long time. Caleb tilted his head and kissed the top of her hair. Who wouldn't say they looked like a perfect match? I liked it and returned to the messages screen. Once the messages loaded, Caleb's message box popped up, one after another. I heard "E gone. It's about time you made room for me. Ethan, if I were you, I'd just wear that cuckold's hat for life. After all, on your own, you wouldn't stand a chance with someone like Chloe in 8 lifetimes. Your only chance to turn things around is gone in a couple of days. Once I've reunited with my family, I'll be walking among the elite. I heard you've always lived in the guest room. How pathetic. I think it was because I was jealous and told Chloe not to share a bed with you, so she figured out a way to keep you apart. Just now, she was even wearing her wedding dress and wrapped around me, doing it. It tasted pretty good, quite stimulating. A dozen messages in a row, all of them bragging. The last one was a picture. Chloe was half kneeling by the bed, in a submissive posture, her face still flushed with lingering passion. If it were before, my heart would have been torn to shreds. But in that moment, I felt like an observer watching a tedious melodrama. I replied with, "Scumbag and manipulative piece of work, I hope you stuck with each other." At this point, I was actually looking forward to it. I was curious to see the expressions on Chloe and Caleb's faces when they discovered I had secretly acknowledged my family a long time ago, and was preparing to ruin her company. In the following days, my cell phone was relentlessly bombarded by Chloe. She hadn't called me this much in all the years we were together. Seeing that I wouldn't answer, she started sending me messages. "Ethan, are you going to marry me or not? My patience has its limits. When did you add Caleb as a friend? I deliberately went with Caleb to take those photos to upset you that day. Can't we just retake them once you come back? Where else would you go after leaving me? The family locket is in my hands. Even if you try to reunite with your family, No one will believe you. As long as you're willing to come back, once the project financing director appears, I can let you meet your biological father, Richard. Caleb will also have his family reunion that day. This is your only chance. She sent 7 or 8 lengthy messages. However, none of that mattered anymore, because I refused to waste any more time participating in her disgusting charade. My foundational knowledge was severely lacking, and there was a lot I needed to catch up on. Every day, I woke up at 7 and didn't get home until 11 at night. Several times, due to intense mental strain, I nearly passed out. When found out, she brought me restorative broth every single day without fail. Her concern was visible in her eyes, and Richard, despite his busy schedule, would praise my progress when appropriate. Despite these exhausting and busy days, I felt a warmth I had never known before. When I was with Chloe before, it was always me giving unilaterally. After years of wandering, I was so focused on giving others a home that I forgot I was the one who needed security the most. Once I finally got the hang of things, Richard started entrusting me with smaller projects. During dinner, I suddenly remembered what Chloe had said and asked, "Dad, are you going to Oceanwood City next month for a financing event?" Richard put down his chopsticks, called his assistant, and checked his schedule. "There is an event, but it's not important enough for me to attend personally. Are you interested?" After these past days, I had completely integrated into this family. I poured out everything that had happened over the years, even though I no longer cared. Speaking it aloud still brought a lingering ache deep in my bones. Richard was furious and threw down his chopsticks. "No wonder you said you were bringing your fiancé home that day and then went silent, and Eleanor suddenly told me the wedding was cancelled. A woman like that isn't worth your love. You are my son. You deserve the best girl in the world. She's not worthy." Eleanor's face, too, was uncharacteristically flushed with anger. "I think it's better for Ethan to represent us at this financing event. If someone wants to impersonate my son, they'll have to see if they're even worthy." Richard also nodded in agreement. The scars I had torn open, the festering wounds within, were now being nourished by my family, growing new flesh. Now, I only felt that life was tranquil. 2 weeks later, I boarded a flight back to Oceanwood City. What I didn't expect was to run into Chloe as soon as I disembarked. It seemed as if she had been waiting for me. The moment our eyes met, I saw a flicker of astonishment in hers. Right, for the past few days, I had been surrounded by business elites. Unconsciously, I had picked up a certain aura of authority. The custom-made clothes I wore added an extra touch of sophistication. She strode towards me, then suddenly reached out and threw herself into my arms. Her voice filled with dependence. "Where have you been all these days? I've missed you so much." I frowned, confused. What act was she putting on now? Didn't she and Caleb become lovers while I was gone? I subtly pushed her away, my voice cold. "Chloe, do you truly think I am so debased that I would repeatedly forgive a cheating woman?" Her eyes immediately reddened a bit, and she looked distraught. "Ethan, don't talk to me like that. Didn't you used to love it when I acted coquettishly? Ever since you left, I've felt empty inside. The moment I received your flight information on my cell phone, I rushed here non-stop to see you." I understood, recalling some past events. It was our 6-year anniversary, and I suggested we travel to Xinjiang. Chloe's phone number was used for the ticket booking. Unfortunately, on the day of our departure, Caleb suddenly came down with a high fever, and dragged his 40 degrees Celsius sick body to see us off at the airport. Chloe anxiously helped him, with half his body draped over her. After the boarding call, just as I was about to speak, she sharply cut me off. "Don't be so selfish. As his boss, I obviously have to be responsible for him. How can I possibly be in the mood to travel with Caleb this sick? Now hurry up and get a cab to take Caleb and me to the hospital." Was that worried, almost tearful expression really just a boss concern for an employee? The outcome was obvious. Every time Caleb and I competed, I always ended up losing everything. Now, it was the same scenario all over again. I sidestepped her and walked forward, waving at a woman in professional attire in the distance. Chloe also turned her head to look, then chased after me. "Who is she?" Before I could answer, she suddenly raised her voice and blocked my path. "Ethan, you didn't actually cheat, did you?" People around us started looking over. I paused, saying casually, "Don't assume everyone else is as dirty as you are. I am not as shameless as you. Besides, we've already broken up. Even if I start a new relationship, it wouldn't count as cheating. Chloe took a deep breath to compose herself, and said softly, can we go home first? I didn't throw away the ring, I'll put it on for you when you get back. We can retake the wedding photos too. Don't provoke me with talk of breaking up. I was astonished by her shamelessness. Even at this point, she still wanted to coax me back to witness her affectionate charade with Caleb. I stepped around her and walked forward. She tried to follow, but Caleb, who had rushed over, grabbed her. It's obvious Ethan is leeching off someone else. Someone so self-degrading isn't worth keeping. That's enough. Caleb, don't talk nonsense. I know him, he's not like that. As the distance grew, I couldn't quite make out the rest of their conversation. However, I no longer cared about any of it. My focus was now on this financing event. My purpose was not only to punish this despicable man and manipulative woman, but also to achieve something significant for my family. The person who picked me up today was the branch manager. She was efficient and had already briefed me on the project procedures and materials in the car. I didn't own property in Oceanwood City, so I checked into a 5-star hotel. As night fell, I walked down the street and passed by the club I used to frequent. Considering the high-pressure work I'd been doing lately, it was time to unwind. As soon as I entered, a beautiful promoter enthusiastically pulled me towards the best booth. I have to admit, club was indeed a great place. I rarely came here. Almost every time, it was to pick up Chloe. This was my first time relaxing on my own. Deafening music echoed around me. I closed my eyes to rest. But then a fragrant woman leaned against me. Handsome, are you alone? I chuckled, neither encouraging nor rejecting her. People here only treat you based on your appearance. When I used to come, I never got such good treatment. Now, it's just because of these expensive-looking clothes I am wearing. A soft hand slid down my chest. I was about to stop it. The woman on me was abruptly pulled away. Opening my eyes, I saw Chloe standing in front of me like a protective wild animal, guarding its food. Get lost. Don't touch him with your dirty hands. The woman ignored her and turned to me, instead, asking, is she your girlfriend? I shook my head, picked up my drink, and took a sip. I don't know this person. At this point, without love or hate, wasn't she just a stranger? Chloe violently knocked the cup out of my hand, trying to pull me up. Ethan, I know, is still angry with me. 8 years of our relationship can't be erased so easily. She bit her lip, as if having made a decision, I'll find a way to break up with Caleb. Is that enough? The beautiful woman understood instantly and said bluntly, so it turns out she was the one who cheated all along. How shameless. And she still has the nerve to beg for reconciliation. Provoked by her words, Chloe immediately tried to lunge at her again. The bartender, who was nearby, waved and called over security to throw Chloe out. Let go of me. Ethan, please come back with me. Although the drama was somewhat tedious, seeing Chloe thwarted just now was quite amusing. I reached out, took off my $300,000 diamond watch, and tossed it to the beautiful bartender. Well done, you've got good judgment. She was intelligent and didn't overstep her bounds again, instead buying me several glasses of hard liquor on her own tab. I drank quite a bit and was helped out of club by her. As soon as we stepped outside, I saw that Chloe hadn't left yet. She stood a short distance away, staring fixedly at us. It wasn't until the beautiful bartender hailed a cab for me that the cold wind cleared my head a bit. I glanced into the rearview mirror. Chloe was still standing there, motionless, just like I had waited for her by the entrance back then. But I knew she was merely unwilling to accept it, unwilling to accept that the man who had devoted himself entirely to her could detach himself from the relationship so quickly. The next day, as I stepped out of the hotel, I was confronted by Chloe. Her eyes were bloodshot, and she was still wearing the same clothes from yesterday. It was obvious she hadn't rested well. Upon seeing me, her voice was urgent and flustered. She fumbled in her bag for several moments before pulling something out. It was an exquisite blue velvet box. Inside was a men's platinum ring. Her eyes gleamed with hope as she spoke cautiously. Didn't you say you wanted to buy a new ring? It was too late yesterday, and I drove all night to find a jewelry store that was still open. After saying that, she paused, then added, if you don't like it, can we go pick out a new one now? This was the first time I had seen her in such a humble, pleading posture. I couldn't help but feel a flicker of interest, and I said sharply, "Chloe, are you truly that low? When I was willing to give everything to love you, you trampled on my sincerity. Now that I've set you free, what act are you putting on?" Her voice tight, she began. "I didn't. I always remembered that you stepped up and saved me from those thugs, and even used your savings to put me through college. Without you, I wouldn't be who I am today." Caleb did genuinely care for me too, so I gave him the family locket. "Can we just move on and be happy together from now on? Ethan, please forgive me just this once." I was sickened by her act, and I said, word for word, "No, don't bring up the past. I don't quite remember it, and I don't particularly like it." From that day on, I never saw Chloe again, until the day of the financing event. I woke up early, double-checked the proposal, and only left after confirming everything was in order. I wasn't sure if it was rush hour, but the car was stuck in traffic less than 100 meters from Crescent. The driver grumbled in complaint. Seeing this, I decided to get out and walk the rest of the way. As I passed the corner downstairs, I heard a man and a woman arguing not far away. Chloe and Caleb seemed to be having an unpleasant disagreement. Only when I got a little closer could I faintly hear them clearly. Chloe tugged at his arm, urgently saying, "Give me back the family locket. It's Ethan's. It's very important to him." Caleb snorted, then abruptly pushed her away. "Chloe, isn't it a bit late to pretend you care so deeply now? You say you want to cut ties with me, and then you want to take back the family locket. Do you think everyone is as selfless as Ethan, that self-sacrificing fool? I've been ambiguously with you for so long, enduring the company's people calling me despicable. Now you want to just walk away and go back to appeasing him. What do you take me for?" Chloe was silent for a long time, then said with a dry voice, "I'll give you other compensation. I don't need it. With this family locket, what won't I have in the future?" Chloe seemed to lose her patience, and violently slapped him across the face. "Wasn't it you who seduced me in the first place? Otherwise, how would things have ended up like this?" Caleb was also enraged. Just as he was about to retaliate, I stopped him. Chloe's eyes lit up, and she looked at me with surprise. "Ethan, I knew you still had feelings for me." I glanced at her and said flatly, "I just can't stand men hitting women." I had Caleb in an unyielding grip, rendering him immobile. He snarled, "You just wait. Today, I'll take everything from you." I pushed him roughly aside, leaving him with a final word, "Just you wait." Then I left without looking back. This fundraising event was highly anticipated, and all partners of Crescent were present. The attendees included more than a few businessmen, who had only decided to partner with her after the billionaire's decision to fund Crescent. After the host finished the introductions on stage, the branch manager, who accompanied me, stood up and walked to the front. Chloe froze when she saw this, her eyes wide with shock. "Today, Ascend formally announces the termination of our partnership with Crescent. We will be seeking alternative partners at this event. In addition, the future director of Ascend is also present, responsible for this financing bid." I calmly walked onto the stage, amidst the gazes and applause of the crowd. Down in the audience, Caleb, clutching his family locket, instantly changed his expression and frantically pushed through the crowd, trying to climb onto the stage. He roared, "You've got it wrong. I have the family locket. I am the future director." As soon as he said this, a ripple of discussion immediately broke out. I took the microphone, my voice sharp and cold. "Have you been leeching off someone for so long that you've lost your mind? Can one family locket be more conclusive evidence than a paternity test?" They probably didn't expect that even without the family locket, I could still contact my biological parents. After the event, Chloe stumbled towards me but was stopped by bodyguards. Her face was as pale as paper, and she spoke with a trembling voice. "Ethan, are you still blaming me? Are you still angry with me? Aren't you? What do I have to do for you to forgive me? Please tell me. If you just give me one more chance, I'll do anything," she asked anxiously, her voice breaking into sobs as soon as she spoke. It had been a long time since I'd seen her tears. In this relationship, I was mostly the one grieving over her. The last time she cried for me was when I was lying in the alley, and she held me, begging me not to die. But times had changed. Her tears could no longer stir any affection in me. I listened quietly, then replied calmly, "Anything you say. But I once did everything for you, and it didn't lead to anything good for me either. With that, I turned and walked away. Behind me, I heard heart-wrenching sobs. After leaving the company, confetti celebrating my success fluttered everywhere. 3 months later, I received news of Crescent's bankruptcy. Honestly, I wasn't surprised. When I announced the termination of our partnership, this outcome was already sealed. No one would risk offending me for a small, newly emerging company. My assistant handed me a few photos. They showed Chloe, cornered by creditors, retreating to the rooftop. Tears streamed down her face. She was utterly alone and helpless. It was exactly like the scene when I first met her at 18. But now, there was no one left to stand up for her. Every action has its consequence. Caleb had latched onto another company executive, with a subtle hint from me. That executive's husband discovered them, and, in full public view, doused Caleb with boiling water, severely disfiguring his face. He then slunk away from Oceanwood City. In the future, these two individuals would never again appear in my life. Looking forward, the most challenging part of the journey is behind me.